Hello everyone, I am Glennis Johnson and I am with At Properties Christie's International Real Estate, and I am with...
Hi, my name is Dennis Ansong. I'm a solo practitioner attorney here in the city of Chicago, focusing primarily on real estate transactions as well as estate planning.
Awesome. Thank you, Dennis, for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me.
We are going to be talking about real estate taxes. I know that is a topic that a lot of you may not have a lot of information about, or you may have questions that you've never had answered. So Dennis is going to be here to answer your questions.
Absolutely.
So we're going to start off, Dennis. I've always been curious. Why are real estate taxes paid in arrears here?
Well, in order to find out how we got here, we got to go back into history a little bit.
Okay.
This all started in the Great Depression, the era of the Great Depression, I should say. During that era, homeowners were finding it difficult to pay for their daily bills, finding it difficult to put food on the table. Last thing that they wanted to think about was paying real estate taxes. Right?
Yeah. Same as now, though.
Same as now. Things haven't changed much.
Right.
So the state decided that to give homeowners a break, a tax break for a year, right? Now, this didn't mean that you weren't obligated to pay those taxes. It just meant that you pay them at a later date.
Okay.
Right? And so that's how we got to where we are now. So if you think about it, the tax bill that you actually received this year is from last year. Right? So taxes are always been paid in arrearages ever since then.
Okay.
So that's how we got to where we are now.
Interesting. I love that little tidbit. Thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Okay, Dennis. And whenever I'm working with a buyer, they're always interested in knowing, is there a way for them to gauge how much those tax bills may be going up the next year? Is there something that they can do to get more informed?
Yeah, so if you want to be a resourceful homeowner or potential home buyer, all right, what you can do is you can go on the assessor's website. Now, you can't really gauge how much your taxes are going to increase. You can't get the exact value,
Okay.
right? But you can go on the assessor's website and you can either type in your property index number. Every property in the city of Chicago has its own independent property index number, also referred to as the PIN number, or you type in your property address. And then once you go on the assessor's website, more specifically Cook County, since we are in Chicago, it'll provide you with what the assessed valuation of your property is, right? Determined by the assessor's office, the certified assessed valuation. Okay. So if the current assessed valuation for your property is the exact same as the prior year, then you can anticipate that your tax bill that's going to be released the next year is going to be somewhat the same as the prior year, right?
Okay.
Barring any exemptions that you may qualify for.
Okay.
Now, like I stated previously, we are in the city of Chicago, and the city is having reassessments this year.
Okay.
So that means, more likely than not, your tax bill is going to increase, being that we live in Chicago,
Okay.
right? So if your assessed valuation does increase, then you can see that increase in your tax bill in the second installment of the bill that's released next year.
Okay.
Right? Because that second installment tax bill takes into account any increases or decreases as it relates to the assessed valuation of the property.
Okay. And how often are taxes reassessed? Or I guess the property, how often is the property reassessed?
Yeah, no, that's another good question. So in Illinois, taxes are reassessed every 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
More specifically, Cook County, they're reassessed every 3 years. So as I mentioned before, the city of Chicago is having their reassessment this year. So for example, if you live in Rogers Park, if you live in Hyde Park, you can expect that your property is going to be reassessed this year.
Okay.
And depending on whether it increases or decreases, more likely than not, it's going to increase. You're going to see that that value, right, that increase in your second installment tax bill that you receive next year in 2025.
Okay. And is there a way to find out if your area is going to be reassessed, or when is it going to be reassessed?
You know, there's not a way to find out the exact time frame that the property is going to be reassessed by, but you can go on the assessor's website, depending on what county you live in, and the assessor will tell you, hey, there is a scheduled reassessment for this year, right, or for 2025. In Cook County, as I stated before, the city of Chicago is being reassessed this year.
Okay.
And then the following year, usually what happens is that the northwestern suburbs will be reassessed. And then after that, it'll be the southwest suburbs that'll be reassessed. So if you go on the assessor's website has a lot of information on there, depending again on the county that you live in. It has a lot of information, so it'll tell you when you can anticipate that your property is going to be reassessed, right? But like I stated, every 3 to 4 years, you can expect some type of a reassessment.
Okay. And if the area that they're living in is going to be reassessed, are there things that they need to think about?
Yeah, there are some things that you can do or think about in order to lower your tax liability, right?
Okay.
So appealing, that's the number one thing, right? That most people think about when they receive their assessed valuation or they receive their taxes, and they just say, wow, I know that my property's not worth this much, something's going on here, right? So you can actually appeal your taxes. Again, we're in Chicago, so I'll mention the Cook County Assessor's website. So if you go on the Cook County Assessor's website, there's a section on there that you can actually appeal as a homeowner.
Okay.
Right? You can do it yourself. However, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can always hire a tax appeal attorney, right? The tax appeal attorney, in my experiences in working with them, they usually work on a contingency basis. What that means is that you don't pay up front. You pay if they provide you a savings in terms of what they provide you a savings in your assessed valuation. Right?
Okay.
So it's really beneficial. I always tell my clients, if you have the opportunity, or if you think that your assessed valuation or your tax bill is just way too high and it just doesn't make any sense, hire an appeal attorney or just try to appeal it yourself, right? There's no downside to it. If the appeal is unsuccessful, it is what it is. Those are your taxes, right?
You just pay what they tell you to pay.
You pay what they tell you to pay.
Okay.
But if it is successful, it's good news for you. You have a lower tax bill.
Awesome. Now, does your office handle tax appeals?
My office does not handle tax appeals, but I have a colleague that does. So if you contact me, contact my office at dennis@ansonglaw.com. I'll be sure to put you in touch with a colleague that could assist you in appealing your taxes.
Awesome. So you're a one-stop shop.
One-stop shop.
Just come to Dennis. He'll take care of you.
That's right.
Okay. Now, Dennis, you did tell us that there are two tax bills that come out.
That is correct.
Can you go over how the first bill is calculated and how the second bill is calculated?
Absolutely. So the first bill is a little easier than the second bill. And what you also have to understand is these two bills are independent of each other.
Okay.
Okay. The first installment tax bill is usually an estimate of 55% of the prior year's tax bill.
Okay, so that one's not going to be a surprise.
It shouldn't be a surprise, right? Because again, they're taking 55% of the prior year's bill, and they're providing the first installment tax bill. The second installment tax bill, that's a little tricky.
Okay,
right?
That's the scary bill.
That's the scary bill, right? The second installment tax bill takes into any exemptions that you can qualify for. If, like I stated, if your property is being reassessed this year and if there's an increase, that increase is going to be reflected on that second installment tax bill that you're going to get.
Okay.
Right? So that's why it's kind of a bit of a mystery in terms of what that bill is going to be.
Okay,
right?
so that's like your official bill, the official tax bill is the second bill.
Exactly,
Okay.
right? Because it takes into account any exemptions, it takes into account the local tax rates or any appeals or any increases and decreases in your assessed valuation.
Okay. Now, lastly, Dennis, what is like the one thing that a lot of homeowners don't think about, like at the beginning of the year, and maybe they forget to do?
Well, in my experience, what I've seen is that homeowners often forget to apply for their exemptions, right?
Okay.
And these are very, very beneficial to homeowners. You should certainly apply for the exemptions. And this is a deduction of what your tax liability is going to be.
Okay.
Right? So there are a number of exemptions that you can qualify for. You can qualify for the homeowner's exemption. You have the ability to qualify for the senior exemption, senior freeze exemption, if you meet the criteria, right? So all you would need to do is go on your assessor's website. If you're in Cook County, go on the Cook County Assessor's website. There's a tab called exemptions,
Okay.
and you can complete those exemptions or apply for those exemptions directly on the website.
Oh, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
just go to your laptop and just take care of it, or your
Take
phone.
care of it. Exactly.
You don't even have to go in if you don't want to.
If you don't want to, if you want to make
Okay.
the trip to City Hall, you certainly can.
Yeah, no
right?
thank you. No thank you.
but you can certainly take care of it, at home. Now you also have to understand that there is a deadline for applying for these exemptions. I believe last year was the beginning of August. That was the deadline to apply for the exemptions. So make sure you apply for them. But even if you forget, because some homeowners are just busy,
Right.
They forget. So even if you forget to apply for these exemptions, you could apply for what's called a certificate of error, right, with the county, right? The certificate of error is basically letting the assessor's office say, hey, there was an error that was made on my tax bill. I qualify for these exemptions. My tax bill should be lower than it actually is.
Okay.
So you're letting the assessor's office know that, the taxes that you receive, those exemptions should have been qualified for, right? You should have qualified for them, and you should have received a reduction. As of now, you can apply for a certificate of error up to going back to 2018.
Oh, that's a long time.
That is a long time. That's a lot of money that people have left on the table that they are not aware of.
And they can get it all back.
They can get it all back
Awesome.
if you qualify. So you apply for the certificate of error, and if you qualify, you get that money back that you were supposed to receive.
Wonderful. That could be a significant amount of money.
It can be. It could be, depending on how many exemptions you qualify for, a couple $100 to a couple $1,000.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to get the money back. Okay?
Yeah, you get your money back.
Yeah. Well, that is all we have. I hope we answered I hope Dennis answered all of your real estate tax questions. And Dennis, thank you so much for coming by and taking care of answering these questions.
My pleasure.
And if you need any legal representation when you buy or sell your home, please call Dennis Ansong at Ansong Law, and I'll put his information in the comments. And if you have any real estate questions, or if you need help with the purchase or sale, please contact me. I will be here to help you. And please look forward to more videos coming from us in the coming year, and follow us. We will have our YouTube channels in our bio, so you will find the link of this video in there as well on Instagram. So thank you so much, and we hope you enjoyed this video.
Thank you.
Thank you.